Welcome to Set to Love. I am Eva Payne, and today I have an amazing guest that I met on Instagram. Great place to meet people. She is a lifestyle coach. Her name is Allie Houston, and today we are talking about flow. Ready? Let's go.
My name is Eva Payne. Welcome to The Flow Life, where we define love as live open, value everything. On this podcast, you are dialed in and set to love. Let's go for a ride.
Good morning, Allie Houston. I love your name. It's like a name that I want to put together. I don't want to just say Allie. I want to say Allie Houston. Do people do that with you?
I think so. Good morning. Good afternoon from Toronto.
I love it. Well, let's just dive in. Tell people a little bit about who you are, and then let's chat flow. I'm so excited for today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And Flow, when you approached me to do this podcast, it really lit me up because I have been loving flow for the past 7 years. It really started in university when I was taking my bachelor's of business management, and I was in a communications class studying happiness. I wanted to talk about being happy because, quite frankly, I wasn't happy, and a lot in my life was really hitting me. And I was like, how can we be happy and live this fulfilling lifestyle? So I ran into Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's work in flow. Now I would say he's a godfather of flow, has so much research, all the goodness. And that's what sparked my interest in really living that flow lifestyle. So I've dove right into how to coach to flow, neurolinguistic programming, working with Stephen Kotler's group with the Flow Research Collective, and understanding the neuroscience and how your biology works, and really to live a flow lifestyle. And for me, that's activating the flow, that high experience when you perform your best, you feel your best, and back it with a lot of positive psychology where you can create a framework that is just enjoyable fulfillment lifestyle. So it's been my life's passion. It's what I know I'm here to support people with, to enjoy their lives, to know what burns them up inside, how they can contribute to the world, and coach to it and facilitate. I love it.
I love that. Me too. I am right there with you. For me, flow came in when I was, I started a nonprofit. We were talking a little bit about that 20 plus years ago. And then after my divorce, all I kept saying was, I've lost my flow. I've lost my flow. And I didn't even know flow, anything existed. That's just the word I was using because I know what it feels like to have everything in life kind of line up, that deepest heart desire, that thing that you really want to produce or bring into the world. And it's almost like magic when you get to wake up and do something that you love every single day, and then meet the challenges with grace and love. So I love this work that you're doing. I love finding other people now in the world who talk about flow. I'm like, it's a flow movement. So that's so awesome. Let's talk about the 4 steps to flow. So that's something that you just posted about today on your Instagram. And I'd love for you to tell our audience a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so there are lots of maps and models and frameworks that you can use in the world. And this one I love to start off with because it is number 1. If you know where you are in this 4-step process, you can kind of take a look and see where you're going next, or what you can do to support you to get into that flow state. So the first step is creating a struggle. Flow happens just outside of your comfort zone. So when you're able to start creating a struggle, it could be a work project that you got going on, or maybe it's a hobby that you love doing. If you're into music, the sports, you want to get into flow, you need to go just outside of what you know you're capable of. And that's when you can start making your impossible very possible. So first and foremost, create your struggle, create a goal that you know is a little audacious, yet it's going to be achievable. Then
I love that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then afterwards you have release. So I feel like there's a lot of polarity in flow. If you go high, you gotta go low. So you create the struggle to release it. And I find that's when you gotta just relax a bit, because you've got so much excitement. You really need to bring your body and your mind to focus and create that calmness. So I call that release. And a release could look like doing some breath work. So right now we're doing this podcast. There's a lot of excitement. We get to know each other. It's getting a little uncomfortable. Like, how is this going to work? So right before release it, do some mindfulness, breathing deep into your belly and just let yourself calm a little bit, or meditate, go for a light walk, so that when you get into the flow state, which is step number 3, you dive right in. And that's just going for it. That can
Okay, so let's just back up for 1 second with the struggle and release. Let me just ask you this. So is this happening like in one day? Would you say, so let's say you're coaching me and you're going to say, okay, Eva, today you're editing your book. Like, that's something that I'm working on today. So what would be like the struggle? What would that look like? The struggle of it, or like setting some goal or something right outside my comfort zone. And then what is the release? So what would those two things look like for someone, like just in a normal day?
For sure. So if you're writing your book, where are you in your writing cycle right now? Are you at the very beginning of research?
It's pretty much done. It's like just final edits, just like going in, there's a couple different edits from, and then it's going to be doing the audio recording next week. So it's like pretty much done being edited, and then the audio will start next week.
I love it. So you, like, for myself, I'm actually kind of in the same spot of writing a book too, and editing.
Yay!
And I was like feeling the struggle today. So it is getting a really specific goal. So if you're in the editing, it's like you want to create a specific and comfortable goal. So if you've only edited like a chapter or 2 before, and you're looking to edit the whole thing, that is like, I'm going to edit my whole book specifically for grammar, or specifically for how the reader will engage. So get it really specific and a little bit uncomfortable. So if it's something you've never done before, if you've only edited the first couple of chapters and you're keeping on those, and then you just get stuck because you have this whole book. Or it could be like, I am only going to edit the first 3 chapters, because that's, again, something maybe you haven't done. So write down a clear goal. And I like to write things down because it gets it off your mind onto paper, and you really declare that this is what I'm going to do. And you create a flow block in your life. So you want complete concentration. You want to be able to really dive into the work. So let's say if you work best in the morning, be like, in the morning, I'm going to spend the first 2 hours really diving in to this editing process and get clear. And right before you go in to start doing it, just envision yourself or bring yourself into the moment. And that might be just like, I know you have kids, just clearing your mind from any of the noise that might be going on. If you have a lot on your to-do list, that might be like writing everything out again, so it's not running in your mind, and doing some deep breathing. So then when you jump into flow and you start just reading the first sentences, really dialing in, you've gone from like having this huge, like, oh, I got to edit this whole book, to a specific clear goal that's just outside of your comfort zone, relaxing into it, and then starting to get into flow by like reading those first few words.
Got it. Okay, I love it. That's great.
Flow. Yeah.
So then I'm sitting here, and then I'm going into this flow state because now I have no distractions. My goal is a little bit like, I need to stay focused to reach the goal. Otherwise it's not going to happen, because it's not too easy of a goal, is what I hear you saying. And then just like believing in myself, having some deep breaths, like, okay, Eva, here we go. And then go into it, right? Is that what I'm picking up?
Yeah, that's essentially like, yeah, some of the triggers and the nuances. There's a lot more, but like right now, that's just kind of what I'm feeling for you, is like do some breath work, some meditation, just to get really focused on what exactly you need, because there is a lot of environmental things around us that we need to start to let go of, so that we can just flow when you're in the state has complete concentration. You're totally involved. Time starts dilating. That reviewing your book, you could be like, oh, I just spent the last 5 minutes reviewing, and then you look at the clock and it's actually been an hour, because you're so focused, you're so in flow. Everything's coming together. Patterns of what you've said, you might have a new idea that would just be that extra little bit of awesome for your reader. And you really lose your sense of your body. Like, I've been so entrapped of like working on my online course that I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime. And then I get out of it. I'm like, I'm going to get to the washroom. So you, like, that flow state, like when you're in it, when you start doing that uncomfortable goal, your clear goal, just really focus into it. But there has to be a little bit of a struggle to push yourself a little bit further.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so then once we've been in there, we're in that flow state, we're working away, and now it's time to go pick kids up. like, all right, here's the end of the day. You have a fourth step, and how does that tie in?
Recovery. And I usually start with people with recovery. I feel like we live such connected lives with technology, kids, life, work, significant others, hobbies, everything. It is a lot, and our bodies are taking on so much stress. So recovery is that time where you've just put so much energy, your mind, your body, everything into whatever task, in this case, you reviewing your book. You need to let your mind just recover, because it is very high intensity. So it's allowing yourself to recover. And that, for me, looks like a really long walk sometimes, could be another long meditation, a nap in the afternoon. So if you have a full block and you know that you have kids, I would almost let yourself only like have an hour in flow, maybe take yourself out of flow so that you still can carve in that 15, 20 minutes before the rest of your day. Because if you don't, that's when you keep on diving in, you get burnt out, the stress builds, and you won't be able to pick up the struggle again in your next flow cycle. So embedding recovery in your day, and that is like yoga, walking, breath work, meditation, something that's going to calm your nervous system down. And most importantly, a recovery protocol that beats them all is a great night's sleep. So knowing that you are nourishing your body enough to have that great night's sleep, consecutive sleep hours if you can. As a busy mom, I don't know how that's possible. However, I'm sure you
Oh, it's not hard falling asleep when you've had a busy day.
Put
your head down, you're out.
That's 7 to 8 hours, but prioritizing your sleep, knowing that like if you want to have that high flow lifestyle and be actively engaged, your body needs to really rest and recover. So there's little micro recoveries throughout your day that I would start embedding, especially after a flow cycle. However, prioritizing your sleep and knowing that if you're not sleeping and you're burnt out and tired, it's next to almost impossible to get into the flow. However, it's just allowing yourself to really almost go slow so you can go fast, is what I say to people. Like, in order to go so much faster, slow down a bit and take that time to recover. So people who are listening, like, you hear the cycle, it's like, oh, okay, I want to jump into my goal. And if you've been going and going, then jump right into recovery and give yourself that 15, 20 minutes to meditate, to breathe, to relax. So then you're supercharged for that struggle, because that struggle can take a lot to lean in, especially if it's uncomfortable. And you need the juice inside of you to be replenished.
To go back into that again. Okay, so I have two questions. One is, why would someone want to elicit this flow in their day-to-day? And can you overflow? Can you become just so entrenched in something that you just lose yourself for too long, in it? I guess those would be my two questions. Pick whichever one.
So can there be too much flow? Sometimes you naturally will get kicked out, because when you are in that flow state, like, you have dopamine and endorphins, like so much chemical goodness that's going through your mind that it can only produce so much. So you will get kicked out. And because you're producing this really wonderful chemical cocktail, it can get pretty addicting. And that's why you have to recover. And that's why I continuously tell people, like, recovery is almost more of a grit skill than getting into flow, because you are getting so excited because you get dopamine, endorphins, you're excited, you're accomplishing so much that you're like, I want to do it again and again. So there could be too much flow where you start, again, burning out if you don't start recovering. But is it like, oh, I'm in flow all day long? No, your body can't handle it. So there will be like a stage, and I think if you're practicing this 4 stages, you're practicing getting into flow, you might find that like some things are easier than others. So I always recommend do what you love first to get into flow, because if there's something that you love, you're going to create that struggle because you're passionate, you're curious about it. It's a lot easier than like the grind of something of work where you're like, maybe you got too much struggle. So practicing where you love to do something and you want to improve that. For me, it's playing the guitar. I love playing the guitar. It's challenging and it's easy for me to get lost into it. Your second question, why flow? Why the flow state?
Yeah.
So research studies have shown, the McKinsey study, they took top executives, and when they were in the flow state, they became 5 times more productive. So 500%. So what does that mean? If you go into work all day Monday, you create these flow blocks, you could take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. So if you're in flow, if you're creating really great flow blocks like the editing, if that maybe take you 2 days of normal, just in and out work, languishing, if you create very specific flow blocks, you could really condense that into a few great hours of high performance work.
I love that. So we have a comment here, and rather than turning the flow on and off throughout the day, actively speaking, turning it off to go get the kids, etc., why not just flow right on through? So I think it's, instead of thinking of it like the state that you go into for a project, more of just like flowing with your day, with whatever circumstance comes your way. You're in your project, then you come out from that, you breathe, then you go into being with the kids and you have a different kind of flow with them and your parenting role, and you come out from that and then you flow in self-care. Do you see flow in that way, or for you is it really just kind of more project goal driven?
I think if I'm referring to this cycle specifically, I would say like the flow state. I think you could have I call it a high flow lifestyle, meaning like I'm actively engaged in my life. And I think to me, that's defined as a high flow lifestyle. Like I am, like, yeah, you say like flowing in and out. Like after this, I'm going to go for a nice walk and have some lunch. I have a couple calls in the afternoon, go back into my book, nonprofit, but I'm actively engaged. They may not all be that flow state in which I was talking about triggering, but I would say I'm actively engaged. I'm having a high flow lifestyle where I have connection, I have engagement. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. And I think engagement for me and flow go hand in hand. The flow state itself is what I was referring to. Yeah. To me, that is like a specific state of high performance, but the high flow lifestyle a coach to would be like exactly what you're saying, like that actively engaging. So if you are productive with your day, Eva, with your book, then you have that great time with your kids that you're actively engaged with them and with your significant other and whatever else. So it doesn't become this mental block of like, oh, I didn't get a lot done at work and I could have done this. And then you're not engaged with your kids. You got your phone going and you're not focusing like you could. So I would agree with that comment, like, yeah, flowing with the day and then have that high flow state to get a little bit more productive and more creative of the things that you want to really accomplish for your goals or whatever's going on.
I love that. It sounds like a well-balanced life, and feel like when you go to bed at the end of the day, you'd really be like, that was a good day. I was really productive. I was great. I showed up for the kids. I showed up for my partner. I had recovery time throughout the day. It just sounds like a really lovely way to approach each day. So thank you for that. And for those tips today too. Allie, 2 questions. 1, where can people find you if they want to connect with you? And 2, any final thoughts around flow or anything we've talked about, or just whatever is on your heart or mind that you want to leave our audience with today?
For sure. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Iya.flow. And Iya came from I love this story. Iya came from my little nephew and he was 2 because he couldn't say Allie. So he called me Auntie Iya. And it's one of those like life bulb moments. I'm like, Iya, it's you always. So I'll leave it with that. Find me on Instagram at IyaFlow. If you want to connect or interested in hearing more, direct message me. And I love live and breathe this. But remember, it's you always. Like, you have everything inside of you to make your dreams come true. You have the power of choice, and you have so many resources around, I know, to support you, like this podcast, like Eva or myself and anyone in your family. So just know it's you always, and you can make whatever dreams you want come true. It's just your adventure to create.
I love it. Okay, final thought here. I totally get it now. The high productive moments. Yes, I paint, and someone said if I don't spend X amount of time in my piece, I didn't do it justice. But I thought it's so relative. Flow, baby.
Oh, I love that. Flow, baby.
I love it. Allie, thank you so much. Everyone out there, thank you so much for being a part of this morning and Set to Love. I appreciate you, Allie. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing, and everyone out there. I will see you next Monday with another fabulous guest. Please subscribe, share this with someone, hit the bell, all those fun algorithm things for our show. Allie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.